bombshell hits that Michigan is self-reporting and now reportedly imposing a 2-game suspension against head football coach Sherrone Moore related to his conduct surrounding the Connor Stallions sign stealing operation that we now know took place at Michigan. And it looks like Sherrone Moore knows that he is going to get a pretty significant penalty from the NCAA. And if you did not hear, Michigan and the NCAA have exchanged communications. Essentially, they have rounded out the process of putting Sherrone Moore and the University of Michigan in front of the Committee on Infractions, which is that final step to really bringing this sign-stealing scandal to an end for college football and especially for everybody in Ann Arbor. And now we are getting the news today that Sherrone Moore is looking at a self-imposed 2-game suspension, and this isn't the cupcake free pass suspension that Jim Harbaugh got during his time as a head coach at Michigan 2 years ago. No, friends, this is legitimately you're out of Michigan football for 2 full weeks, which I think based on what Sherrone Moore is accused of doing, what he has admitted to doing, what his actions say he did, which is as soon as the allegations were made public against Connor Stallions, Sherrone Moore deleted a long string of communication via text message with Connor Stallions. And again, what do I always tell you? Is the worst part of any crime, the cover up for that crime. Sherrone Moore is going to face far more penalties for deleting those text messages and being evasive with the NCAA than he would have ever faced for the operation on its own. And now we know that Michigan has taken what I guess is really only a Michigan style tact here, which is suspending their own coach for violations in those programs without going before the Committee on Infractions, without ever having a final judgment from the NCAA. Michigan now, not once, but twice, is stepping up and suspending a head coach for infractions, and without even hesitation, admitting that those head coaches, whether it's Jim Harbaugh, because who could forget Jimmy Boy feeding hungry kids with cheeseburgers, whether it was him taking, multiple game rips for that, and then for the sign stealing allegations. And how remarkable is it that not one, but 2 now Michigan football coaches are going to take a self-imposed suspension related to the sign stealing allegations. All this to say, Michigan has admitted that this operation took place. They did so when they fired Connor Stallions pretty much on the spot. They are now again admitting that there were illegalities around the sign stealing allegations. And what we know now is Michigan cheated their way to a national championship. It's awfully difficult to deny that, to spin that, to change that narrative. But let's make something very clear. They're the national champions of that season, and that's not going to change. But what now has changed is it seems like the tenor and the tone coming from Ann Arbor, trying to deny any wrongdoing. We had no idea. Well, apparently you did, because you deleted a bunch of text messages, and now you're taking a 2-game rip for this. Jake, I think there is very little way to spin this if you are Michigan. You're admitting that your program and 2 of your head coaches broke the rules, and they did so flagrantly.
Yeah, no question about it. And I think that it's a massive injustice for college football. I don't really care about the national championship. I sleep well at night knowing they cheated their way to a national championship. I think the conversation's way bigger than that. I think that, college football has been a sport in our country that has had massive issues all over the place, whether it's this Michigan sign stealing thing, NIL, whatever you want to look at. And I think I'm just getting to a point where it's like, cool, you guys want to self-impose discipline? Neat. You're taking them out of the program for 2 weeks over one of the biggest scandals in college football. What does that say about Michigan? Right? Like we've been over this. We've been through it. We've covered it. And ultimately, again, I feel really good about the fact that we can say confidently that, yeah, you cheated your way to a national championship. Sherrone Moore knew exactly what he was doing. Jim Harbaugh is never going to face the discipline he should face. But, I feel like he was the chief architect of all of this. And we don't even know what the connection in the bigger picture is between the coaching staff and what Matt Weiss did. So I look at Michigan football and I say, you should be embarrassed. You're a disgrace to college football. Michigan football is a program that I don't care about what happened before Jim Harbaugh, because frankly, none of that matters now that Jim was here. None of that matters now that you tried to get him to sign a contract to be the highest paid head coach in college football, and he wouldn't do it unless you gave him full immunity, which you weren't capable of doing. You're just not allowed to do that. You're not able to do that. So I just sit here and I say, frankly, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is what you had coming to you. This is hardly surprising. This doesn't make it better. This doesn't fix anything. And it doesn't fix the fact that you frankly robbed people out of a career-defining win. Because that's the thing. I don't even care that you are the national champion. I care about the kids who lost that game because you had a sign stealing advantage. I care about the kids who were not playing on a level playing field in the regular season because you had their signals and signs and you obtained those in an illegal fashion. Like, that's the issue, dude. Like, you've affected so many people in a negative way, and Michigan fan doesn't seem to care about that. So again, I'm not really here for all the spin and all the, the inevitable comments we'll get from, Ferris and the Erics of the world and whoever the hell else wants to talk about it. I'm just here to say, like, you can lie to yourself and spin this, but the reality is you guys did this. Michigan did this, and there's no real getting away from it. And there is no way to feel better about it. And I do hope that the NCAA levies a heavy punishment against them. It should be one of the heaviest punishments we've ever seen in college football, in my opinion.
Yeah, and our sources are telling us earlier this afternoon that it is expected Sherrone Moore will get an additional 2 games. It will be a 4-game suspension at a minimum. And I would continue to tell you, based on the things that we hear from our sources, who, again, every Michigan fan in the world can tell us that we don't know anybody and we don't have sources. What did we tell you? Sherrone Moore was going to take a significant suspension, and 2 games. What is Michigan doing by saying, hey, we're giving our football coach a 2-game suspension where he has to be away from campus?
Stealer guy.
Sherrone Moore will not be allowed to be involved with Michigan football in any form or fashion, in no communication, electronic or in person. Like, this is take him out of the program for 2 weeks. What is Michigan really doing there? They're trying to mitigate the end punishment from the Committee on Infractions in the NCAA. That's what they're trying to do.
This is a coach on a board.
I think they likely will achieve that with Sherrone Moore. I think if you put Sherrone Moore in a box, from what I understand, talking to sources, Sherrone Moore will be gone 4 games this year. I think it'll be 2 from Michigan. He's already, essentially, according to reports, he's already going to take a 2-game suspension. Won't be the Oklahoma game. Will the NCAA step in? I think, from what I understand, this punishment will be before the 4th of July. This punishment will be for the first 4 games of the season. I think the NCAA will take Sherrone Moore off the field for the first 4 games of the season and remove him from that football program for the first 4 games of the season. I also think that when it comes to Jim Harbaugh, I think you're exactly right. Jim Harbaugh himself personally he's out of reach of the NCAA. That doesn't mean Michigan's not going to feel the wrath, because what Michigan did and the way that Michigan handled that situation, not only with Jim Harbaugh being evasive about recruiting violations, level 1 recruiting violations, right? Not only that, not Cheeseburger Gate, not only the sign stealing operation, not only the Matt Weiss situation. If that was what you had done, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right.
If Sherrone Moore had not deleted those text messages and then been evasive about it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. If Jim Harbaugh had actually agreed to sit down with the Committee on Infractions and investigators from the NCAA, we would not be having this conversation. Problem is, it wasn't just Sherrone Moore and Jim Harbaugh. It was the worst athletic director in the entire country in Ward Manuel. It is the president of the University of Michigan, who has facilitated under his watch, cheating, lying, being evasive, allegedly, sex crimes and certainly computer crimes based on charges against Matt Weiss. That's what Santaono has presided over, where you had an assistant football coach under Jim Harbaugh who had no idea. Jesus Christ, me?
Cheating,
what?
lying, and then playing the victim.
Matt Weiss, who worked for my brother and now works for me, he was breaking into thousands of young people's accounts, stealing their nudes. All of that happened under Santaono. So he immediately fires Jim Harbaugh. Oh, wait, no, that he tried to make him the highest paid coach in the history of college football.
Google me.
Jim Harbaugh, they wanted him to be the highest paid coach. What was the only line apparently that Michigan wouldn't cross? Absolution from NCAA sanctions.
Oh.
Jim Harbaugh wanted guaranteed money, fully guaranteed money, no matter what the NCAA did. Well, why was that? Because Jim Harbaugh knows what he did. The NCAA knows what Jim Harbaugh did. The NCAA knows what Sherrone Moore did. The NCAA knows what the worst athletic director and one of the biggest scumbag, in my opinion, in Ward Manuel, they know what happened under his watch. They know what Santaono did not do, and then proposed to do. That's what you're going to get slapped for. You're not going to get slapped because Jim Harbaugh was just having a cheeseburger and a recruit and his dad happened to be in the restaurant. You're not getting slapped because Lone Wolf, which turned out to be an entire pile of dog shit worth of lies, because he was never a lone wolf.
That was a masterpiece of dog shit.
And Ferris, I hope you're here.
Oh, he won't be here.
Where are all the Michigan fans today?
Yeah, he won't be here.
Where's Ferris Khan today? No idea. Because he was never a lone wolf. Was Ward Manuel overseeing everything else at Michigan? Was amazing, right? The birds were chirping, the deers were humping in the bushes and making little deer babies and stuff. Nature,
yeah, boy.
Yeah, nature was taking place. Everything was, oh, that's right. Juwan Howard was a terrible basketball coach, and there were allegations of abuse, and your football program had some dude stealing thousands of nude photos from young people, some of them alleged to be, in your own building. And your football coach was having cheeseburgers for hungry kids and
stuff.
That scumbag Ward Manuel oversaw one of the most scandalous periods in the history of college athletics.
And then on top of that, chaired the college football playoff committee. How in the hell does that happen?
Under one of the worst selection processes ever. And on top of that, let's not forget how Santaono stood up there. We're going to fight. Ah!
That's the untrained eye.
And then had a judge who is a Michigan football alum who graduated Michigan law, ready to hear an injunction on Jim Harbaugh's suspension. We're going to fight. Ah! Right up until that judge was ready to hear the case, and then you pulled it, and you gave a not so much of a suspension.
All right, bro. Have a nice day. Didn't mean nothing by it.
So wait, you mean you did absolutely nothing to discipline Jim Harbaugh, who, again, also scumbag, probably the biggest scumbag, even though he buys cheeseburgers for hungry kids.
You're a douche.
Yeah, you're a douche. But the point is, you're telling me that you're all, hey, Connor Stallions was the lone bad actor. Hey,
What?
I'm just curious. And I've asked this before. And again, I ask, where are the Michigan fans in the comment section?
Me?
So he was a lone wolf. Kyler Murray wannabe Blake Corum had his signature on an LLC to sell vacuums. Remember that?
Vacuums are my thing.
But vacuums aren't his thing. And I don't never sign no LLC.
What?
Because it's against NCAA rules to have a coach and a player in actual business together.
The ink isn't dry yet.
I'm just curious, how come there's no wire fraud, forgery charges, federal charges? Because falsifying a signature on an LLC is actually a federal felony.
People are misinterpreting what I'm saying.
So why hasn't Balake, little Billy Jimmy Corum
Guy?
Why isn't Blake Corum? Why isn't the FBI? How come there's no federal charges against Connor Stallions?
Oh.
Well, I mean, it's a guess.
I mean, it's just you asking for a friend, right?
It's
a
guess.
That's nobody would ever commit that level of crime in Michigan football land. I mean, that's not, nobody would do that.
It's just a guess that maybe that signature is Blake Corum's. I could be wrong. And that LLC, which has since been dissolved. Funny how that works.
Gosh.
Funny how that works.
You have to check it before you wreck it.
All I'm telling you is, and I will continue to tell you this
again and again and again.
Michigan's biggest crime was not the crime itself, but the cover-up.
I'm going to say this again.
Jim Harbaugh, now Sherrone Moore. Why on earth is Santaono still employed? Anybody? Why is that scumbag athletic director still employed? Why have you allowed Jim Harbaugh and Sherrone Moore and that scumbag athletic director to destroy the legacy of a very, very fine institution? Is there simply that you don't care? Because that's what it feels like to me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't care about your legacy. You don't care about your reputation.
No, you don't give a damn about anybody. You just want to win, and that's it. You don't care if you got to beg, borrow, steal, burn the whole village down, violate people in ways they should never be violated. You just will do anything.
I'm very curious to see how on earth do you come to a place where you have, and this is just my opinion, where you have all of this stuff, and yet you will still and repeatedly defend people like Santaono and Jim Harbaugh, who how many times have Michigan fans been in our comment section? He's a good man. He was feeding hungry kids. He would never do that. Well, he admitted.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
He admitted he did that. Well, no, he didn't. Well, he did take a suspension for what then? If Jim Harbaugh was just a good man trying to feed hungry kids, I'm just curious.
Just saying.
And I think the other thing that I love so much is that we'll make excuses and we'll say, and what's the first thing in the if you go back and start looking, because as soon as this Michigan news came out, all of the Michigan fans were in the comments section on YouTube, because we've probably got over 100 videos on this subject. Oh, no, everybody's forgotten that. We're still national champions. Apparently, now don't
be stupid, okay? Don't be an idiot. Don't be out there with it, okay, Monty?
Apparently, not everybody has forgotten that, because those Michigan videos did over 25,000 views today.
Oh.
No, I could be wrong.
Well, you're always wrong. And this is an SEC show, so, us commenting.
And I'm a fat dead Mormon.
Yeah,
but other than that.
And a Utah fan, but it's,
And I'm never right. We have no sources. But I'm going to say that not everybody's forgotten about it.
That's right, T.
And time does not heal all wounds. And the NCAA, what did I tell you probably 4 months ago? The NCAA is going to make an example out of Jim Harbaugh. The NCAA is going to make an example out of Michigan. And why do you think they're going to do that? Because it's one of their last hills to die on. Because the NCAA doesn't have a whole lot to enforce anymore. Are they enforcing NIL? Are they enforcing amateurism? No, none of that. Nope. Can't. Oh, Where's the BYU bagman? Nobody gives a rat's ass because there's no such thing as bagman
The
anymore.
BYU bagman.
Oh, yeah.
Baby.
You remember that one? Yeah. What? The NCAA has its teeth in Michigan because they can. And I truly think, and before we get into the comment section, I think this Michigan scandal, all of them, because it's not just one,
Right.
It's not just two.
I've lost count at this point.
It's a whole bunch of scandals happening in Ann Arbor. Oh, I think it's just the gift that keeps on giving to a jaded group of dudes on the Committee on Infractions who knows they don't get to enforce many infractions anymore.
This case is empty.
And I think it's the fact that Michigan was so arrogant and so over the top. And so we did nothing wrong. Well, everybody steals signs. How many times did we hear that? Hungry. Those kids, Monty. Those kids were hungry, Monty. But Monty. No, but Monty's. But Monty. Them kids were just hungry for cheeseburgers. They just.
This is a tasty burger.
It's a big kahuna burger,
Man,
Monty.
man, you mind if I have a sip of your beverage to wash down the
Yeah.
taste of this perversion in our football program?
Listen, Marcellus Wallace was trying to. Anyway, the point is,
Program.
turns out none of that's true. Turns out Jim Harbaugh and that recruit with his dad didn't just happen to be in the same diner in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
We really did.
You know, and it just so happens that same kid, by the way, who testified to the NCAA, that it was so bizarre that flipping weirdo Jim Harbaugh was having a cheeseburger for breakfast. Because you guys know that's the truth of the story, right? The only reason the cheeseburger in that story is notable at all is because it was breakfast and Jim Harbaugh ordered a cheeseburger. And how do we know that? Because the kid remembered. That's the best part of it. That is the best part of it. But what do you guys think? Is this what Michigan fan? Because let me read you some of the comments out the comment section today.
Out of pocket.
On the Michigan videos. Jeremy Truss.
Big Truss.
Big Truss. Woo woo. Jeremy Truss. You guys make it out like this was murder. Nobody died. We won the chip. Let's all move on with our lives. Oh, well, nobody died.
I mean, you just took all their nudes and violated their personal privacy.
Who hasn't seen
but
it?
nobody died.
Who hasn't seen nudes?
I mean, it's just some pictures of some ass, apparently. What's the big deal, dude?
You didn't know. Jimmy didn't know.
Come on, dude.
Y'all reading all this cap ass shit.
Mike James.
Different than Rick James.
Mike James.
Mike.
Michigan had its moment in the sun, and there's nothing you're going to do to bring the rain clouds. Oh, that's so. Wait, my heart just skipped a beat. That's so romantic. Michigan had their moment in the sun. Let's all get your vitamin
Kumbaya,
D.
Dude.
Kumbaya, you cocks.
Macaque.
Kumbaya. Michigan had its moment in the sun, and there's nothing you're going to do to bring the rain clouds.
Please, you got to do at least one more. I mean, this is
the Bastille, whatever. Okay. Who
the fuck is that guy?
If Ward Manuel is such a bad administrator, what? If Ward Manuel,
Monty,
it's reloading. If Ward Manuel is such a bad administrator, why did we win a national championship and turn a basketball program around in such a short period of time? And if Ward Manuel is such a quote unquote scumbag, why did the NCAA allow him to sit on top of the college football world for over a year? I know, like,
well, I mean, you guys make it so easy. It's truly like, thank you, dude.
Do you truly believe that Ward Manuel is a good administrator? Do you, the athletic director at Michigan, who oversaw the football program during all of these scandals, including Matt Weiss, who saw Juwan Howard, who he hired, who saw Juwan Howard destroy Michigan basketball. Do you really think that anybody cares what the chess club did those years?
Nah.
Do you really think anybody cares what Michigan hockey did those years? Nobody cares, because the only thing that makes you money is basketball and football, and they were both a scandalous wreck. And all that money you made winning a national championship, if you're banned from the postseason for 2 years, which most people think is going to happen, do you truly believe that Ward Manuel was a good administrator? Can you honestly sit here, Michigan fan, and describe Ward Manuel and say Ward Manuel was a good administrator? You've got 2 football coaches now suspended for the same crime.
That's pretty much self-explanatory.
For the same crime. You've got, and remember the whole, hey, the FBI's on your campus. No big deal, Monty. What? Turns out, not only is it a big deal, there are multiple crimes being committed. How many of them were done on a Michigan computer? On Michigan's network? Under Michigan great Ward Manuel's watch? And you can still sit here today and say he's a good administrator. Get out your goddamn mind. Well, if this was Ohio State, oh my God.
You fucking donkey.
Those Buckeye dirty pricks are at it again.
Yeah.
Like, it would be, you guys would be calling for Trump to send all of them, not to like some Central American country. Oh, just send them to Columbus. That's where all the criminals are anyway.
And it's very powerful.
Alcatraz, hell no. Send them to the shoe.
And don't pay him the $1,000 fine.
Like, you guys, Michigan fans would be, oh, Ryan Day's brother is a private investigator. He's the one who did this. Like, you guys would be, that would look like a nothing burger. Oh,
I
his
see what he did
brother.
there. That's a burger
It's
reference.
Jim
to
Harbaugh
and
and Hungry
burger
Kids.
Burger and Hungry Kids.
His
and
diner.
Some, you know. Idiots. Absolute buffoons.
Ah, it's just so much fun dealing with Michigan fans, especially when we're right.
Yeah. The level that Michigan fan will go to lie to themselves to feel better is incredible to me. I mean, truly.
All right, let's see who's in. I can't. We've got it. Ferris, you coward. If you do not comment today,
he's probably too busy being banned.
The only way you say oh, did we? That's right. Did we decide he? I didn't.
I don't know. We didn't do anything.
I didn't look
I
it
just
up.
know that he was one offense away, and typically he's one ban a day on the show.
Backwoods sexy Mike Smith. Well, Michigan fans should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what kind of comedy we can roll out today.
Exactly. Jay McClanahan, evening, guys. What's up, Jay? Good to see you. Matt Ritson, hello to you. TJ Beck, Michigan admits the cheeseburgers weren't cooked.
Unbelievable, dude.
You served raw meat to those young men.
Absolute outrage.
You served raw meat to young men. What is this, Penn State?
Wow, dude. That you didn't need to make a shower Olympics reference, dude.
Smiles and glory holes.
Rob. Okay. Matt Ritson. Come on. That's funny.
F around and find out.
Hey, another Big Ten school with perverse allegations.
I said carry a big load the other day and you lost your mind.
Yeah, boy.
I bring up raw meat at Penn State and nobody has anything to say about that.
Perhaps play a little game called Just
the Tip. Maury Elbrus. So what do y'all Michigan homers owe Monty for all the bashing you got? Turns out we were right again.
Yeah, no Monties, you know.
You know what I'm saying? Keaton Critchlow. Hello, Keaton. Good to see you. Jacob Steinecker. Is this actually live? Well, in fact, it is.
Yes.
There he is, Eric Wasikowski. With the Pope. 2-game suspension is the big punishment. Oh, no, it's not. That was the
No,
self-inflicted.
that's the lie. That's the lie you're telling yourself to feel better about this.
And the lie your avatar is telling you.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
The 2-game suspension was self-imposed. Michigan suspended Sherrone Moore 2 games, reportedly, because it's not official yet. Big John, the level of ignorance from the institution and its fan base is mind-blowing.
Agreed. Completely.
It hurts your soul.
And honestly, the level of effort to perpetuate that ignorance is at an all-time high.
I can't even imagine it. By the way, I haven't coughed one time today.
Stay hard.
Some of us get healthy. Others of us do not. How's your cough?
It's all right. Comes and goes. Yeah.
I love it. Dana Marie, hello to you. Loner Phone says, better call Sauls. Multiple Sauls.
Right.
Multiple Sauls. Dev MC, what's up, guys? Stallions vacuum salesman news means I had to tune in.
Yeah, I mean, you knew it, right?
Vacuums are my thing.
Exactly. How about Riley Green making MLB history on Friday? Nobody cares. Sherrone Moore's a scumbag.
Yeah, what happened? Wait, what happened in Michigan, dude? What happened in Michigan? Don't deflect to baseball, dude. Don't deflect.
Don't deflect. Ooh, and your comments got filtered.
Oh God.
Some of your comments got filtered.
Here
Rossi,
we
go
go.
easy. I'm telling you, and
You don't
and
always have to be negative.
this seems to always happen when the Michigan topic comes up. All we do is set a filter. Do you want coarse language is the only filter we have turned on?
Do you want accounts named Eric Wasikowski to be banned today?
And we said specifically no, as long as he has a fraudulent Pope. No,
Better fucking execution.
right? Hey, fraudulent Pope, you're good to go.
Yeah.
No fraudulent Pope.
Yeah.
Is this the dagger?
Get
You're
your
off to
ass outta here,
Alcatraz.
bro.
Go to Alcatraz.
Yeah.
You fraudulent Pope.
Nickel up to Alcatraz, bro.
Duh. Anyway, the point is, I have a lot of energy today. I slept so much over the weekend. The point is, if you use coarse language, and a lot of people say if you use emojis,
Get your ass to Alcatraz, bro.
Dev MC, or excuse me, no, when stars align, I'll never recognize that when they cheated. End of story. Do you guys agree with that?
I just think that the win, yeah, it's just such a surface level, with all due respect. I'm not hating on this take, but
Not
I
at
just
all.
think now with what we know about like Weiss and the sign stealing stuff and Jim and the lack of cooked cheeseburgers, like that's just the tip of the iceberg,
meat.
dude. I don't give a damn about the national
Just the tip.
championship, dude. Yeah, like honestly,
That's just
like,
the tip
it's just the tip, dude. Like
of
honestly,
the iceberg.
yeah, like honestly, we're in a place where dude was out here in a back room on a computer, you know, going to the spank bank with nudes from, you know, students. Like it doesn't get much worse than that, dude. You're one short of Penn State stuff at that point. Like it doesn't, like it's the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Like I can't explain to you like how bad that is. And Michigan fan is going to say that Jim never knew. And, you know, he just was looking through his thick ass glasses every day.
Can
and
we
had no
stop with
idea.
that? Can we stop
Like,
with the lone wolf thing?
It's ridiculous.
At what point do we look at Jim Harbaugh? And I totally agree with when stars align. They cheated, end of story. No team has ever needed to cheat that bad to win a natty. What a great legacy. Can we admit that Jim Harbaugh's legacy at Michigan is dysfunction, cheating, and just generally being a scumbag? Because you can't, okay, let's pretend, okay? Let's wind the clocks back. And let's pretend
Let's wind the clocks back a year.
and pretend that it was only the Connor Stallions scandal. And Jim Harbaugh admitted it. Yep. You know what? I didn't know what he was doing, but it was my watch. I'm totally responsible for this. I'm the head coach. I'm responsible. How different would our perspective be? If you hadn't had a guy committing computer crimes and stealing nudes from college students, if you hadn't had raw meat,
You gotta get stroked.
if you weren't giving raw meat to kids at diners, you know, all of these things. If it was just Connor Stallions and Jim Harbaugh had said, totally my fault. I'm the football coach. The buck stops with me. How different would this conversation? They would have won the national championship. But no, you couldn't admit it. You wouldn't admit that you served yourself a raw meat and stuff. You couldn't admit that it wasn't a coincidence that you were in the diner with the kid and his dad. You couldn't admit that he was a lone wolf.
Okay, if you're having a cheeseburger for breakfast, are you like
You're a
is
different
that,
kind of psycho.
Yeah, like is that like how does that work, dude?
I've had a cheeseburger for breakfast.
Yeah, but like I don't just roll up to a diner to get a burger at 7 a.m, dude.
Jim didn't either. He was there to meet a dad and his recruit.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, you know.
Let's ride.
But then the hard part is all of this stuff is happening, and then the FBI shows up. Oh, well, Monty, hey, dude.
Monty.
How many of you jackwagons in Ann Arbor were like, oh, well, Matt Weiss was a victim. Why'd you fire him then? Well, you know, how about the Red Wings? Did you guys see the Red Wings? I mean,
I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest.
But the FBI's on campus. Oh, but Javi Baez and
career resurgence in center field.
Have you guys seen the weather for it? Is going to be beautiful for the spring game.
Did you guys see Justin Tucker got let go today? Man, we don't need to talk about this.
And then you know what? Instead of talking about Jimmy and he's trying to feed those hungry kids, why don't you go look at Ryan Day's scumbag PI brother? Because that's what we get. And when we try to tell you, hey, this is a big deal. Lone Wolf. Hey, FBI's on campus.
No.
Matt Weiss is a victim.
No.
Well,
Matt Weiss is a victim.
Both the lone wolf and the victim both got fired, which would tell you somebody at Michigan thinks that the lone wolf wasn't a lone wolf.
Get fired, they resigned. It's different.
The lone wolf and Matt Weiss are no longer employed. So, I mean, and then Jim Harbaugh, he's no longer employed too. And now Sherrone Moore is self-admitting and really Michigan giving him a 2-game suspension.
And it sucks.
How long can you guys be in denial?
Honestly.
Good grief. You won the championship. Sure you did. Nobody's going to take that away. Is it a legitimate championship? No, you cheated to win that. In my opinion, you cheated to win that title.
He's got no class.
And anytime anybody says, well, Michigan won a natty, well, you cheated to get there. Congratulations.
Hope you enjoyed the nudes.
How about all those nudes that got stolen?
Jackass.
Like it went legitimately, like a really good professional acquaintance of mine is a Michigan football fan. And we go about this probably once a month because Michigan won. Notre Dame, well, Riley Leonard sucks. So then I have to hear, well, we won a natty. Well, Connor Stallions sold some extra vacuums that month too, didn't he?
Yeah, a couple of Hoovers.
Right?
Little Dyson,
Well, we won a natty. Yeah, but you also porned up on a bunch of like college students and high school seniors and broke into their accounts and committed all kinds of computer fraud, allegedly, across state lines, allegedly. And, the FBI's on campus, but we won a natty. Yep, but it turns out that Jim Harbaugh wasn't there just to get breakfast. Like, I can keep going with we won a natty. Well, see, but then Juwan Howard, and then the allegations, and
then was it the Connor Stallions on the CMU sideline stuff? Like,
and how many universities can say that they've self-reported and given their coaches multi-game suspension?
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
How many big-time universities actually are lying scumbags and not really that big time? I'm sure there's some report you can find on Google that talks about scumbag universities that actually aren't that big time. Gonna think if you just start with the maize and blue.
Is it possible that they could ride the D?
It's not the maize and blue anymore.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. And the big house, I'll tell you what, the big house has a different meaning now, doesn't it? The big house. Speaking of Alcatraz. That's where Matt Weiss is going.
Alcatraz.
The worst of the worst are going to be at Alcatraz. Matt Weiss.
Send his ass out to the
Ward
middle of the
Manuel. Ward Manuel certainly needs to go to Alcatraz because, wow, that guy sucks.
The answer is yes.
Well, I should probably stop. I've gotten carried away and I'm excited. Let's see. When stars align, it's embarrassing to be defending all the crimes up there. Speaks to your character if you excuse any of this. I agree with that. Mike Smith, the big is the pervert conference. Dude, you're not even kidding. Northwestern, Michigan, Michigan State, Jim Jordan, Penn State, How many
Penn State again?
Penn State, Penn State, Penn State, Vanderbilt by way of Penn State.
You know.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I'm speaking of sex crimes, I'm a football fan of a Catholic university. So what could possibly go wrong? Okay, probably should move on. Like, do you understand? Like, it's the Big
In
Ten.
God's name, image, and likeness.
Steely, good afternoon, Steely. Embarrassing the big in college football, 100%. 100%. Bobblehead guru.
Oh, God.
This ought to be interesting. What is an advanced scout? Define it. There is no NCAA definition. Hey, bobblehead, you should probably.
You do. Okay, wait. Again, how easy can you make this for us? I mean, do you
seriously?
Was this like? Did you say to yourself, okay,
wait,
I'm going to come into the comment section,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to serve Monty in 2 holes, Monty in 2 holes, just a nice silver platter here. We're going to have the white linen on the table, a nice silver tray, a big fat ass New York strip, and I'm just going to serve this to him right on the plate. You can't be serious that you want the definition of advanced scouting. You can't be serious, dude.
And the best part of this is, why is it illegal? Because it's not illegal to essentially scout teams, look at their video. Did I mention that you get all the video that Connor Stallions had his minions going,
Because it's illegal.
You get all that video, but that's neither here nor there. Did I mention, do you guys know the genesis of no advanced scouting in college football? Do you remember why?
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to pay for it.
Yeah, they didn't want to spend
it
the
wasn't
money.
Some big illegal thing.
Again, this issue is not about them stealing the signals per se.
No.
It's how you went about stealing the signals, dude.
Dope.
Like, how hard is this, bro?
On a public ticket account, on a public Venmo account,
like
on a public iCloud account.
What, the Signal app wasn't available? Come on, dude.
Pete, heck, never mind.
Be better.
The point is, it's not advanced scouting's not necessarily the problem. Sign stealing's not necessarily the problem. Because
sign stealer guy.
Go ahead and dig into the NCAA rule book. Where does it say sign stealing's illegal? Wait, it doesn't. What's illegal is sending people to other stadiums with recording devices.
To do what? Oh, that's right. To advance scout.
Because the only reason it's illegal to advance
because
scout
it's
is
illegal.
Because they were being cheap and they were trying to save money.
Right. So nobody sends scouts out. It's all available on film.
That's why they have a film exchange.
That's why Michigan fan defending all this. You look like an idiot, with all due respect.
Yeah, like this is
like you're an idiot, dude.
This is
like,
what Michigan fans do. This is what Michigan fans do. Steely says bobblehead guru is Ferris. I would not be. So you are banned. So
wait,
you are
we
banned.
Actually know that that's Ferris.
Yeah. Do we know that that's Ferris, Steely? That's hysterical. When stars align, probably Steely. Wouldn't be surprising because it's illegal.
Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, this is not difficult.
If we're because
it's illegal.
Let's take the conjecture and the hyperbole out of it. The bottom line is Michigan's admitted to pretty much everything
except the raw meat stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was Penn State. My point is Michigan's admitted to sign stealing.
Right.
How do we know that? They fired Connor Stallions. Now Sherrone Moore is taking a self-imposed 2-game suspension for his behavior and his actions and covering up his communications with Connor Stallions.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he was a lone wolf. So why would they be communicating? My point is Michigan's admitted all this, you guys. They admitted the cheeseburger gate thing, as people call it.
Cheeseburger gate.
They admitted recruiting violations and Jim Harbaugh's evasiveness the only word that I can, in my opinion, use is covering up. Because he avoided commenting and meeting with the NCAA, and it essentially can't make a comment about Matt Weiss because that's a federal case. They've admitted all of this. Do you think that they willingly let the FBI come on their campus to investigate computer crimes? that turned out to be heinous sex crimes.
Do you think the FBI wants anything to do with going onto a college campus to investigate something?
No.
Like,
No, come on. Like all I'm telling you guys is, like, you look at the Western Michigan thing. Look how many legacies, careers, resumes have been absolutely gutted and destroyed by the actions of Michigan's leadership.
yeah, they are still employed.
All so that you can say you won a single national championship that nobody's going to recognize. Because you won it in disgraceful fashion. And the sad thing is, and I know this pisses off Ohio State fan, but you know what the real sad part about this whole story is? Michigan was clearly the best football team in 2023. Not close.
Best offensive line. I would say
best
defense.
On
I would say best on both sides of the ball, honestly.
That was a really good roster and a really good football team who had a scumbag for an athletic director, who had a lying scumbag for a head coach, who had a lying scumbag for an offensive coordinator, who's now the head coach, and a president who looked the other way, allegedly, and facilitated all of it.
And by the way, give Sign Stealer guy credit. One of the best analytics guys we've ever seen in college football.
And again, much like the roster and the football team, Connor Stallions was elite at his job.
Sign Stealer guy.
Why set up this whole thing? Has Connor Stallions ever denied
write the
it?
manifesto?
Has Connor Stallions ever denied it?
Nope.
Has Jim Harbaugh ever said, oh, well, Connor Stallions, that's my guy? We would just the opposite. Like, you threw people under the bus because you think you were protecting your good name. Jim, I got news for you. People like me, and I'll tell you, you know how I view Jim Harbaugh? In my opinion, he is the scum of the coaching earth. You are the worst. In my opinion, you are the worst of the worst. You put kids in harm's way. You ruin careers. You ruin legacies. Most of all, you destroyed a really good university at Michigan.
Yep.
And nobody recognizes you as an elite college football coach because you couldn't win until your lone wolf went off and started stealing signals.
Yep.
It's plain and simple. And now for the second time, the second head coach at Michigan, self-imposed suspension. It's wild. And yet Michigan fans are like, oh man, dude, I'll tell you what, we're the best in the business. At what? You're the best in the business. You're the best at what? What is Jim Harbaugh? Does anybody believe that Jim Harbaugh is an elite head football coach? I've covered him at Stanford and at the San Francisco 49ers. I can tell you firsthand, he is not well regarded by his players, and he doesn't win at the highest level. Has never won a championship. So, is he an elite football coach? No, he's not. No, he's not. Is Ward Manuel an elite athletic director? Come on, guy. Come on. Really? Is Santaono a great president? Yeah, if you don't mind felony, alleged felony computer crimes that involve stealing nudes out of people's accounts that you hacked from an NCAA database. Other than that, I mean, what more could you want? Come on. Who are we kidding? And I think the worst part for Michigan fan is Ohio State is doing it the right way. They're making more money than you. Their championship is legitimate and nobody questions it. They were clearly the best team in the country. They had the best coaching staff. They had the best talent base. All of it. And you? No, just the opposite.
Have fun taking that punishment.
That's my point.
Have fun not seeing the postseason for probably 2 years.
And you brought Captain America home. He's a Michigan man until the Chargers came and paid him a bunch of money and he took a dump on your forehead.
How could he, dude? How could he ever leave?
He would never leave us.
Man, wow. Dude.
Pack this thing up. We're out of here.
Come on. You'd never catch Pat Fitzgerald doing something like that. That's why I said Northwestern.
Well said.
At least Pat Fitzgerald sued to try and protect what left of his good name. Where's Jim Harbaugh's lawsuit?
But he's innocent. Why wouldn't he sue?
Yeah, all these allegations are false.
Yeah, this is all made up, right?
Cheeseburgers for kids. I didn't know he was going to be there. What?
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I just said hello.
Yeah.
Where's that? Why? Wait a minute. Why did you not go and sit with the Committee on Infractions when you were asked, Jim?
Because you're innocent, right? I mean, there should be nothing. There's no issue here.
You know why you're not going to sue, Jim? Do you know why you're not going to sue? Because then discovery comes out. And then evidence comes out. What did you really know about Matt Weiss? What did you really know about Connor Stallions?
Because they can prove all that stuff.
What did you really know, Jimmy?
Jimbo.
Because we already know you committed level 1 violations. Not a secret. We already know.
To that point, the other thing that has always stood out to me about Jim and in this whole thing, this whole saga, is the comfort with which they violate rules.
The ease.
The ease of
the
it.
Willingness.
The ease, the willingness, the comfort, the lack of any fear of consequences. And that truly, out of any of this stuff, the Matt Weiss nudes thing is number 1 on the list of stuff with Michigan that bothers me the most.
Jared Curtis is not going to Oregon.
No, that boy going to Georgia. First team all SRT. Over under 5 months.
5-star recruit Jared Curtis, the number 1 quarterback in 2026, has committed to Georgia over Oregon.
And why is that? Oh, I know.
Wow.
I know. Because Georgia's got a quarterback need. That's why.
That is shocking.
And by the way, Texas already has their quarterback. So when you look at winning the SEC, Georgia needed somebody.
That is shocking. That is absolutely shocking. That's a huge. I thought Oregon had him. He was originally committed, and if I'm wrong, somebody will correct me, I'm sure, because I'm stupid and don't know anything. He was originally committed to Georgia, pulled his name out, and everybody assumed was going to wind up at Oregon. And now he's going back to Georgia. I wonder if they probably got him out of a Challenger into a Charger into what's the Dodge? The Hank Voigt SUV.
Oh,
thing.
Durango.
A Durango.
Hellcat Durango.
Yeah, Hellcat Durango.
Yeah,
Hellcat Durango. That dude's getting a Hemi. They're bringing the Hemi back, by the way. Wow, that's a shocking story. That is a shocking story. Art Briles versus Jim Harbaugh, who wins the scumbag off. Well, Jim Harbaugh never facilitated the certain things that you may have or may not, Bobblehead guru. There's no NC definition of advanced scouting. It's a loophole both sides. No, it's not. No, Ferris, it's not. It's not a loophole. That is factually incorrect. It is not a loophole. It is period, point blank. You can have no in-person advanced scouting.
See, and this
period.
But look at the end of the comment.
Story.
Look at the end of the comment. This is telling.
NCAA will not outlast Michigan in this dispute. Just declare pseudo victory and move on. Well, you're the same jackwagon who told me that there would be no more punishment, that Connor Stallions was a lone wolf, that Matt Weiss was a victim. I believe you came in here and defended Matt Weiss.
Yeah.
And now you're saying that there will be a pseudo victory. You're spreading lies. You're spreading lies, Ferris, because all this is saying it's a loophole. It's not true. That is factually incorrect. You have no basis. It is very clear. Very clear. Jeremiah Champion says, hit the like button. Surprised by Curtis too. I'm stunned by that. I mean, this would be akin to, in my opinion, because Dan Lanning's going to have quarterbacks, right? There's no question about that. Does this kid not want to compete?
What do you mean?
Well, because Dan Lanning, and I will look it up because I want to be correct. Oregon football. Let's look at their recruits, because I'm pretty certain he's got, I think it was 6. That he's got 6 quarterbacks on his roster and in his pipeline. Let's see. Correct. Yeah, he's got 6 quarterbacks in his pipeline. That's exactly correct. So I'm wondering, Does he not want to?
No, he wants to play for someone who can actually win a national championship. That's what he wants to do. He wants to play in the SEC. He wants to play in the best conference in college football as the #1 quarterback recruit. And he wants to play for a proven head coach, with all due respect to Dan Lanning.
I mean, I don't disagree with this. Has not been a good period for Dan Lanning in recruiting and transfer portal. But
Why? But why? This is the important thing you can't skip over. Why? Oh, that's right. Because you were Oregon football putting a massive duck out front of every stadium you went and played at. And then you got your ass beat by Ohio State in embarrassing fashion, and you weren't even competitive.
Yeah.
Why would you want to go, with all due respect to Dan Lanning, if you're the #1 quarterback recruit in the country, why would you go to Oregon right now when you could go to Georgia?
You wouldn't. You absolutely wouldn't.
You just wouldn't. I mean, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. And so the next logical step, if Georgia's not your #1, would be Texas, but you're not going there because of Arch. And then, you're looking at Ohio State then, I guess, if you're a quarterback. And you just have to decide which situation you like better. But, to me, if I want to win natties and I want to be in that competition for 3 years in a row, I'm going to Ohio State or Georgia.
And I'm not saying that. I look at some of the, obviously Dan Lanning's probably got a top 5 incoming class.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Malik Benson, Hughes from, coming in, Emmanuel Pregnon coming in, he's got Barry Alexander from USC. He's got multiple USC kids coming in. But I would be really cautious. If you're an Oregon fan, there are some red flags there. There are some red flags there, and I think if I were you, I would be very careful. I'd be very careful getting excited about that because it's kind of surprising he lost this kid. It is really surprising he lost this kid. I would be very careful with that. Johnny Gonzalez, but playing in the best conference of college football is fine if you're at the best team in the conference. Is Georgia backsliding? Apparently not.
Now,
apparently not with Jared Curtis. When you get the #1 quarterback in the class, now you got to develop that kid.
But what would make anybody believe that Georgia is backsliding? I understand that they didn't win the national championship. I understand that wasn't their best year in the playoff, but you were still in the playoff, right? You were still there. You're not going to win every single season. I think that the Carson Beck, Gunnar Stockton situation piped you in the playoffs, dude. And that's why dude went to Miami. And now you're sitting here with Gunnar Stockton trying to figure out, and again, in all fairness to him, right? First real start at Georgia in a playoff game.
Well, and Caden Dixon Wyatt going to Ohio State, that's not ideal.
You're sitting here at Georgia with a clear need, and you have a clear championship pedigree. I agree that it's a little bit surprising that Dan didn't land this kid.
I think it's a lot of it surprising.
I don't
see. And I think Caden Dixon Wyatt, you can't tell me that kid's decision had no impact on. The stories will come out.
Yeah.
But I would just look at it, and I want to make this clear. I'm not saying that Oregon's decimated or really good incoming portal class, but you look at some of the kids leaving, they're going to UCLA. One of their better linebackers went to Utah. You start looking at who's leaving and where they're going to. That's a little scary. That's a little scary, is what I would say. Mike Smith, Mountain Mama. Maybe a QB would want to go to a team that is known for throwing to good wide receivers. Sure. Some might want to go to a school where a running QB is the way to go, and so on. Absolutely. And I think one of the things you got to look at is I believe Curtis is from Tennessee. So, but why do you rip his name out of the Georgia process in the first place? Because he probably was looking at Oregon. And
sorry, not to sidetrack everything. This just popped up on my X feed, and forgive me for not knowing this heading into the Michigan conversation. Were you aware that Santa Ono on Sunday left Michigan?
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, he's left Michigan.
What?
Yeah. So in an announcement, I missed this too. In an announcement Sunday, Santa Ono, the president of the University of Michigan, informed students and faculty he would be taking a new position as the president of the University of Florida.
I did not see that. Bro, is everybody just moving on to bigger and better things? Because Florida's a better job. No, it's not. Are you kidding me? He went to Florida.
Dude, are you serious?
I did not see that. I had not heard that. And there it is. The first thing that pops up, Santa Ono leaves Michigan.
Dude, you can't be serious that you guys think nothing more is coming. Why would he leave?
He was not there. How long was he there? That's wild. He was only there 3 academic years. Jesus. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, Michigan fan, you're going into a very dark period. And Ward Manuel's on the clock. Because if you're an incoming president,
you got to get rid of him.
You've already roiled up the lather of your board of regents. You've now lost your basketball coach to scandal. Your football coach is to scandal. Your only real accomplishment as the athletic director is that you won a national championship. That's a little shocking.
Dude, I don't mean to be dramatic, but I am shocked. Like,
that's a little, I did not hear that.
It is. Yeah. We should have known that, but apparently that came out Sunday and I did not see that at all. And I feel like that's been pretty under the radar. That's incredible that he left. And what's more incredible is he left for, I mean, you can make a case either way, but you left the Big Ten for the SEC, and that's the reality of it. So you're going to a school that has to perform in football now. Like, you understand the pressure that's on Buddy in football? Like, you need to win now.
Because if Santa Ono took over in October of 2022, when was Matt Weiss suspended? Wasn't that January 2023?
Let me look just to confirm.
So that's on his watch. Now, obviously, Jim Harbaugh and COVID and his activities would not have been under Santa Ono.
Yes, January 2023.
So that's definitely on Santa Ono's watch. Jim Harbaugh during COVID, the actual crimes, violations were not committed under Santa Ono, but the cover-up and then the fight to protect Jim Harbaugh and insulate him absolutely were in the offer to make him the highest paid football coach in the history of college football. That came from Ono's office. So the Jim Harbaugh stuff, the Santa Ono or the Matt Weiss stuff, the Connor Stallions stuff, it's awfully hard to just
how do you just look past that, bro?
And if you're Florida, are you like, well, we got to have this guy on staff? Oh, hire that guy. Billy Napier's safe now.
I'm like, what?
Oh,
what are the people saying?
The people rest, sir. That's amazing. Big Papa War Machine. Ward Manuel was also the college football playoff chair last year. Luckily for everyone, Mac Rhodes is in charge now. As we stated earlier in the show, Ward Manuel proceeded over one of the worst selection processes anybody has ever seen. Ever. It just ignoring strength of schedule. Ever. Damian Fowler, what's up, broskies? Monty got his ears lowered. A little bit. I'm having kind of a hair day today. Like, you got the lettuce and the stuff and like I'm just having a hair day. Like, maybe I need to, I use the, I can't remember the name of the company.
Harry's.
I hate Harry's razor blades. Dollar Shave Club, screw you. I was so much more of a Dollar Shave Club guy.